Hey folks, Kilt-Man here, Kilt-Man at your services. How are you all? Hope you're all doing very, very well. Now, I've just seen Werewolf by Night. Yes. Now, regular viewers know I've been kind of bigging this up since we first got word it was going to actually happen. A massive werewolf fan, as you know. Love Marvel and love old 30s and 40s Universal style horror movies. Oh yeah, those creaky old crypt kickers. Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, Lon Chaney Jr. as the Wolfman. You know all this. But is it any good then? Right, well, this is a Marvel one-off special presentation for Halloween, bringing the darker side of Marvel to the fore. And it's directed by Michael Giacchino. Let's get that name right. Michael Giacchino. Giacchino. I will forget that throughout the course of the rest of this video. Famous composer, done so many movies, many Marvel movies. And he was given the chance to direct this. I'm like, why? Why can I direct this? Well, it's only a 53 minute short movie. And you like the subject matter. And you're kind of punchy with the editing when it comes to your own music. Maybe you can bring that kind of dynamism and excitement and momentum to an actual proper visual movie. And folks, yes you can. This will be full of spoilers. It has now aired on Disney Plus in the UK and elsewhere. And it's great. I really enjoyed it. It is it's best viewed as a one-off. How do they want to fit this into the rest of the Marvel sort of universe with Moon Knight and with other characters? I mean, spoiler alert, Man-Thing is in this. Yes, but we knew that. I'd already spoken about this. And Jack Russell, for he is the Werewolf by Night, Jack Russell. Every time I say the name Jack Russell, it gives me a bit of a chuckle. Because Jack Russell is a little canine, little yappy bastard. You know, it's a little midget shark on a lead. But Jack Russell in this is actually a big, snarling, ravenous, muscle-bound, very acrobatic werewolf. Now, the Jack Russell character was from 1972, when Marvel came up with this idea for Werewolf by Night. And he is part vigilante, part adventurer. He's cursed by an old family. His ancestors were cursed by lycanthropy, and it's been passed down to him. And they are from Transylvania. So his name should be Janos Rusowski, or something like that. I forgot, Russos. But anglicised, it's Jack Russell. And in the course of his comic book career, he became a hero, and he joined the Legion of Monsters, and they fought off alien invasions of Earth and all sorts of things. And he met loads of other superheroes and did loads of bits and bobs, and you know how the Marvel Universe goes. It just expands exponentially and brings everybody in. So I'm not sure whether this one-shot, this one-off presentation is meant to spearhead something else, because you've got Moon Knight out there now as well. So, which I still haven't watched, by the way, but I know who he is. And that could sort of come to fruition somewhere down the line. I don't know. So anyway, what is the story of Werewolf by Night? Well, in this particular little presentation, you have the Bloodstone family, who have been ridding the world of monsters for centuries with their namesake, the Bloodstone, this ruby red gem of a thing which has all sorts of powers. It can make you stronger, it can weaken the monster, it can do this, it can do that. It does whatever the script really wants it to do. And the patriarch of the family, Ulysses Bloodstone, he's dead. He snaffed it. But his new bride, well, she's not so much a new bride, she's been there for quite some time. But the original, well, we'll come on to that. In honour of his passing, what she's done, and she is, what's her name? Oh God. Verussa, played by Harriet Sansom Harris, who I knew previously from the TV show Frasier. And she's wonderful in this. Wonderful, I tell you. She has summoned all the monster hunters from around the world. I think there's about 6 of them. And one of them is Scottish. And he wears a kilt. Oh, hey, he wears a kilt like this one. He's got a big bushy beard. And actually, he's great. And you've got a sort of Asian one, there's a black one, and there's a woman that looks like an albino version of Gozer the Gondorian, but with no eyebrows, and another guy called Jack Russell. And the idea is that they're going to have a monster hunt, and it's a ritualistic affair. And in this palatial mansion, they have huge grounds with this Gothic labyrinth, a warren of catacombs, of crypts, of tombs, of archways and passageways and corridors and big stony monoliths. And it's surrounded on the outside by huge forest. So what's got to happen is, like, all of you guys and girls, because there's another huntress there, and that is Elsa, played by Laura Donnelly. And Elsa is the daughter of Ulysses, the deceased. But she's not the daughter of, what's her name? Oh, what is it? Verussa. Oh, God. She's not her daughter. But as Verussa says to this disenfranchised sort of, the long forgotten daughter, the one who turned their back on the family 20 long years ago, she says, like, you don't be hard on yourself, Elsa. You were your father's greatest disappointment. I got stuck on my own lips then. And that's why I don't act in movies. I can talk to you guys, but put a camera in front of me and other people, and I've got to interact. I'm like, bleh, 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 bleh. And then obviously clutching for bottles of whiskey, which could cause havoc, making a movie. But anyway, so they're gathered all there, and the idea is one of them has got to find and kill a monster that they've got, and the monster has been weakened by the bloodstone itself. So that will be on the creature's body, and it'll be set loose into this vast labyrinth, and then these guys and girls will have to go out and fight it and take it down and retrieve the gemstone, and whoever does that, they become the next, the leader of the Bloodstone clan of monster killers. However, if you don't happen to kill the monster and bring the Bloodstone back, you're pretty much dead, because you've got to fight each other to win the prize. Oh yeah, it's like the prize in Highlander. You've all got to come together and slay each other to kill this and get the prize and come back and be champion. But as Verussa, I got that right, as Verussa says, all those who don't survive this, they'll be given the proper ritualistic and honourable burial and death, and all the honours will be applied. So there's a lot of dignity in this, apparently. So you've got Jack there as well, and Jack has arrived in all sorts of weird, they've all got weird looks, they've all got sort of war paint on them and a strange look about them. And there's Johan, or Jovan, I think, is the big Scottish one in the kills, and he's a big, broad dude. Not a young man, with a big beard, shaved hair at the sides, and he's got some sort of war paint on him. And he says to Jack, like, well, I like all this get up you got going on here. I like the black eyes, because he's got black eyes and sort of white sort of paint, ashen paint around his face. And he said, well, that's to honour my ancestors, my family. You now know what that family is like. You also know that Jack Russell is a werewolf. Although, if you come into this movie totally fresh, you won't know that until the big sort of twist, which I've ruined. But you knew I was going to do that anyway, because it's spoilerific. And they have to then, take off their medallions, put them in the hat, and then reach into this other bowl and pick out a little chit, a little sort of runic chit, which marks who's going to go first into the labyrinth to go and hunt it. And of course, Jack gets the first one, cueing the great line from Jovan, you lucky bastard. Doesn't really make much difference, because once you're out in there, the next one will come within about 30 seconds after them, and they've got to find weapons within this place and go and slay each other, and then slay the beast and retrieve the bloodstone. So Elsa is this estranged family member. So she turned her back on the family, and the rest of them kind of don't want her to be there, because, well, hang on, it's bloody favouritism. If you're bringing a family member in, But Verussa says, like, there's no favoritism. Trust me, she's just like the rest of you. There's no favors given here. You guys go out there, do whatever you need to do. If you gotta kill her, we don't care. And you've got Ulysses, the deceased patriarch, in a big sort of William Castle style ghost house, sort of animatronic mannequin type thing, in a raised casket. The doors open on this casket. And he's like, but he is a corpse. But he's been he's animatronic, and he will give the spiel to them all. And then say at the end, don't worry, I'm rotting for you. Ha 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 ha. There is a wicked sense of humour in this. As he himself says, I'm sorry about that. That's a bit of grave humour. But it works. It's shot through black and white as a homage, pastiche of the old 30s and 40s Universal creaky horror movies. And it works a treat. It's very, very silver glinting black and white. The fonts for the titles is very similar to some of the old vintage 1930s Universal movies, particularly Werewolf of London. Not an American Werewolf in London, that came way later, but the original Henry Hull Werewolf of London. The font is very similar to that. And also you have little cigarette burns in the film. And I found them quite irritating. They happen about 4 times tops in the same spec. And it's a big sort of, a squashed sort of sphere of indented burnage. But it's very bright, very neon bright. And it actually I found quite distracting. That did not feel like a genuine, cigarette burn, what they call them on the old cine films. And there's a few speckles here and there, but it is filmed mostly brilliantly, and the black and white really works. But it's not entirely black and white. The gemstone itself, which we see initially in its little sort of I don't know, ornate box, velvet lined casket, and you see it's neon red, and it has the sort of like lens flares, J.J. Abrams style lens flares across the room. And whenever you see that, it's going to be in full colour, full one colour, red. But it looks great, igniting up the otherwise monochromatic vista. It looks superb. Anyway, they're all unleashed. Battle commences. And again, spoilers folks, but this is the point of this video. Because there's no point doing, I've just seen Werewolf by Night. It's great. Go watch it, and then I'll do another video. No, I've basically said it's great, and I've given you the whole beginning of this and a synopsis. If you want to cut short now and then come back to this video later, feel free. Because now we're going to go into the real spoiler territory. And, well, the monster that's on the loose. It's Man-Thing. Marvel's sort of version of Swamp Thing. And Man-Thing is a friend of Jack Russell. You've got to, I think, kind of think of this as The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, where you've got like Clint Eastwood's character, Blondie, and you've got Tuco, played by Eli Wallach, who help, they're both bounty hunters, but they help each other out by, we have Tuco being captured, and then by Blondie, who will get all the, the money, all the bounty for him, and then when he's about to be hanged, he'll free him and the two will go off again, only for him to capture him again and make some more money, and the two of them split it. You get that kind of vibe from Jack Russell and Man-Thing. Man-Thing is a huge, colossal beast with his little trunk and his sort of tentacled face. A bit Great Cthulhu, sort of, but with he's wearing a Swamp Thing suit at the same time. But he has blazing red eyes. Well, albeit in black and white, but we'll come on to that again. By the way, I'm going to come on to this again as well. Cheers, y'all. He's his friend. The two of them are buddies. So, obviously, Verussa and her henchmen, who are all like sort of cattle prod wielding Nazi goons in all armour and sort of stormtrooper helmets, all black garbed. They've obviously captured him and they're going to use him for this ritualistic hunt. And obviously Jack has got wind of this and he's joined the hunters, but he's already quite renowned as a hunter. In the first meeting in a big grand parlour room where they all get acquainted with each other, and Verussa saying, you killed 37. and you killed 45. You killed 58. And then she comes to, and they're all kind of proud of themselves. But you killed over 100 to Jack. And they're all like, because Jack does not look like the big sort of crazy sort of hunter that they all are. And but he clearly is. And there's all like heads on the walls of fabled monsters which have been killed. And the Yovan's going to him like, you know, did you hack up any of these bastards up here on the walls? And he's going like, no. But that one that looks a bit like that there, he goes, I fought him a few times, like. But this movie will not expand upon any of that. At this point, if you're fresh to it, you do not know who Jack is, and you kind of think, you haven't killed anyone, you. He looks like Martin Freeman. He's played by Gael Garcia Bernal. Yeah, before this, I didn't know him either, well, really. And he's great, but he has a sort of weedy quality to him. And with this kind of his blackened eyes and all this white ashen makeup on, kind of looks a bit strange. But he reminds me a lot of Martin Freeman. The sort of twitchiness and like not much, you know, in the way of a body shape to him. Kind of looks weak and ineffectual, and kind of like just bamboozled by everything around him. A nice moment was when you first see him. He walks into this parlour room through a sort of corridor antechamber sort of thing, with all tableaus on the wall depicting various monsters which have been slain by previous Bloodstone members. And one is a giant werewolf which has been quilled with like darts or arrows. And he does linger and sort of looks at that and goes, because he's a werewolf, isn't he? But so you've got all this sort of, although the film is very short, 52, 53 minutes, a lot is packed into it. And you do get these various characters, and they have enough to make you know who they are. They all look visually different, but they've got the little quotes and little something to do, and it works. So they're unleashed, and they will battle each other, and Jack leans against one of these hedges. So there's like big hedges there as well, and a great big huge hand will come out like He goes, and in the trailer, that was brilliant, because in the trailer you thought, oh, well, he's a goner, because whatever that is, it's fucking huge. And that's before you saw Man-Thing in the little sort of tiny snippet cameo appearance in the trailer. You're thinking, why is that? Great, if that's the werewolf, it's fucking massive. It isn't. And he goes, he goes, and strokes this hand, because they're mates. Hello, Ted. He calls him Ted, because Man-Thing, his original human alter ego, was a scientist called Dr. Ted Sallis. And so he knows him as Ted. As I say, these two have met in the comics, so it's not beyond the realms that these two would be here. And it's a nice sort of foundation stone for a darker Marvel theme, if you're going to bring these characters back, which they may well do, because I've got a feeling this will be quite successful. So anyway, he says, look, I've got one of these little bombs. What I'm going to do, I'm going to blow a hole in the wall, and then you and me are going to escape. And I'm sick of saving your ass. I do this every time. See what I mean about this whole Blondie and Tuco from The Good, the Bad and the Ugly sort of routine? The two have got this sort of thing where Man-Thing's getting captured all the time, and it's always Jack who comes to the rescue. But so I've got these bombs, I can do this. But these guys, all these hunters, just stay in the shadows until I can do this, okay? Until I find the one that break us out. And we've got to get rid of that bloodstone, because Man-Thing's got the bloodstone on his back, which has weakened him. Not a great deal, because he will do some damage even wearing the fucking bloodstone as well. And but he will encounter, well, all the hunters will encounter each other, have little skirmishes, battles, chase each other. In a weird contrivance, you'll have Jack and Elsa will be locked in a tomb together. But it's the actual Bloodstone family crypt, mortuary. And if you look on it's all nicely black and white, obviously, but there's a weird glow coming through from these tombs. They're all on one wall, casket, all lit up, so that the words and the jargon are all lit up slightly. And one of them, someone called John Long, I think it's John Long, was born on my birthday, June the 12th. And I spotted that right away. I thought, my God, wow, that's great, that, June the 12th. But anyway, there's all other names there too. But in a prior skirmish, Elsa's been slashed across the back of the leg with a samurai sword. So she's actually a bit damaged. But she's also killed another guy as well, using his own wrist-mounted dart gun. She's hacked his arm off and then used a severed arm with the dart gun to get him and then hide with his corpse. After the skirmish with Jovan, the big Scottish one, like, and who's got a huge battle axe thing. It's great. It's so fucking big, you know. He has to drag it along the floor. There's like forever scraping all these granite and concrete and stone tombs and stone edifices. She's already had a couple of battles already, and she's gone in there wounded. And Jack's now encountered the albino Gozer, who's going after him, and he manages to get in here and shut the door. And but Elsa's going, no, don't shut the door. The door gets shut and locked from the outside, and he's like, oh, well, now we're trapped in here. What are we gonna do? So these two will have a bit of a bonding sort of session, and he tells her how to apply a tourniquet properly. And you've got to keep it nice and tight and even and all this. And she's like, yeah, all right. Well, our options now are either break out of here or stay here and die. I don't fancy that option much, do you? So let's try and find a way of breaking out of here. And she remembers that, because they're all her ancestors there, don't forget. And she remembers that, great auntie, whatever, great grandmother, or whatever it is. They used to always say to me that if, you misbehave, don't go to bed on time, then old Granny Grizzlemidge, I don't know what her name is, will come back and drag you into her crypt because she doesn't want to be alone. Ooh. And then she remembers, hang on a minute, well, she always said that once she's dead, she'll come back from the grave. She'll find a way to come back from the grave. So she climbs up. She's quite acrobatic, even with bleeding profusely from this leg, with the new tourniquet on it, climbs up there and smashes through that lit up sort of front visage or front fascia of the coffin, pulls out, I don't know, a leg, an arm, a skull, the keys to the tomb door. Don't know how she managed to wangle that, like, but anyway, it's a nice little bit of plot armour. Brings out the keys, out they get. Right. He goes, I've got this bomb. She says, right, look, that bomb, what you do with it, you turn it on, you ignite it, put it on the wall, the far wall, go down this passageway, turn left, turn right, that wall there, great big crack in it, throw it against that, it'll stick, it'll blow the wall open. They're making a deal. He says, look, the monster is my friend, so I want to get him out of here. And she's like, okay, fine, but I want the bloodstone. Okay, you can have the bloodstone. And then she says to him, like, by the way, if you and your friend double cross me, I'll kill you. And he says, well, look, if you encounter him, don't be afraid. Whatever you don't be afraid, and call him by his name. She's like, what's his name? His name's Ted. The reason why that is important is that Man-Thing, all the intelligence he had as a human being is pretty much gone. Ted Salis' soul is in there, but he's more of a random, ruthless beast. And what it is, he senses, he's in tune with the environment around him. So in the swamps of Louisiana or Florida, he's quite happy. Oh, nobody's there. But in the land of man, man's afraid of him, and he has this thing about fear. So if people are afraid of him, he will react to it like animals do, I suppose, and he'll sense it. But if he touches them and they're afraid of him, he has a corrosive secretion which will just melt them. That's helpful, isn't it? So you've got good reason to be afraid of him because he can melt you on the spot. And when you see this towering trunk and sort of tentacle-faced, behemoth from the swamps, you're not going to go, Ted. But what happens is Elsa encounters Jovan again, the Scottish guy. Listen, lassie, I warned you before. It's like, by the way, he's played by a guy called Kirk Thatcher, who is not Scottish. And Kirk Thatcher was in Spider-Man Homecoming which was scored by Michael Giacchino. And he was also in Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home. He is the punk on the bus that's got his ghetto blaster, and he won't turn any music down, like, and goes like that to our Federation crew members. And then Spock, in his robes and his bandana, just puts the Vulcan nerve pinch on. Down he goes to the cheers of everyone on the bus, like. And but that's Kirk Thatcher, who's playing this guy Jovan. Well, she encounters Jovan again, but Jovan's got that great big battle axe, and she's already wounded. But Man-Thing comes out of the huge hedge wall behind him, and he's just like that when he sees it, and he picks him up by it, just puts his big sort of swampy paw on Jovan's head, and the head just goes, whoa, ignites, white flame everywhere, sparks, fizzes, broken skull, charred, dead. And then does that thing which I always hate in movies, where a monster will come towards the camera and just go, ah! And usually the spittle from the fangs and the jaws, but it's such a CG overload. I hate it. They do it here, but it's deflated and it works. He's just killed Jovan and goes, ah, like that. And then, but she puts her hands in the air and just goes, Ted? And he goes, ah, oh. And Swamp Thing can't really speak properly. He just kind of grunts with slimy grunts and gurgles. And Jack can understand him, and seemingly Elsa can understand him. And she's going, yeah, Ted, your friend is that way. He's going to blow the wall up and then you can get out. Okay? So, but in the meantime, because Jack ignited this bloody thing, didn't he, when he and Elsa were making this little pact together, and the two run off, but she's told him where to run to, and he's like that, oh, there's the wall with a crack in it, fucking lobs it at this thing, just bounces off, and he's like that behind, hasn't gone off, shit, goes and picks it up again, sticks it on, runs off, it just falls off again, he's like, oh, for fuck's sake, you know. Finally puts it in the bloody big, which is the most obvious thing, put it in the crack, boom ski. So you've got other hunters, there's only a couple of them left, who are legging it after. You've got Elsa and Man-Thing legging it down there. Big hole in the wall, and like Man-Thing gets through to the big open woods out there with a sort of like a swampy howl of triumph. Yes, I've made it, you know. And Elsa's like, hold on a minute, and she's got one of these special weapons, like a big chain with like a pincer hook on the end of it. And she sort of lassos the bloodstone, pulls that off, and it's lying there. All the others are coming up as well. Jack goes to pick it up. Bloodstone enacts with him because it knows he's really a monster. Whoa, boomph! He's on the deck. Sort of like, ugh. Think Luke from Return of the Jedi when the Emperor's going, zzz, zzz. He's like, ugh. He's all like that on the deck. But Verussa, the matriarch now of the Bloodstone clan, the wicked stepmother you could call her, and all their goons and the other hunters arrive there. Excuse me. And they're going, hang on, he touched that, but it reacts with a monster. Ah, so we had a monster in the guise of one of the good guys. Well, let's find out what kind of breed of monster you are. And what they do is, because she hates Elsa as well, and she's like, well, Elsa was trying to help you guys get this Man-Thing to escape and get the Bloodstone for herself. The two of these get put in this big, huge, sort of curved cage back in the mansion house, surrounded by goons and all this sort of stuff. Jack just says, you know, because at this point, no one said the word werewolf yet. He basically said, because she's like, Elsa's cowering in the corner, sort of thing like that. Well, corner, it's round, there's no corners there, but she's cowering against the bars. Let's go like, look, what are you going to do to me? You're going to rip my throat out? And he's like, well, certain times of the month, yeah, that's what I do. But don't worry, I'm in charge. I'm okay. I've got it under control. There's no full moon for 5 days. I'm sure in 5 days we can work someone out. And she goes, oh, great. The Bloodstone will change you within 5 seconds. That's what it does. It exposes the monsters. He's like, shit. So, but don't worry, just want to change. Don't look me in the eyes. And he comes over to it and he smothers it and he's rubbing it and he's sniffing it and all that. And I thought at first, oh, what he's doing, he's putting his scent all over so he won't touch her when he's changed. But she says, what are you doing? He said, like, I want to get to know your smell so I might remember you. I thought it'd be better the other way around, so he's putting his scent upon her. But anyway. So Verussa comes in with all their goons and their manservants. Cheers. And there's no full moons in this, by the way, at all. He says, right, you know, we're going to see you change. And once you change, then we're going to take you down. But you're going to have her first, because we don't really need her. Because she's a liar and a cheat. She's deceitful. She's turned her back on the clan and all this sort of stuff. So she just extends the bloodstone in her hand. Remember, it's black and white film. This is glowing purely red, bathing, you know, and the light beams travel across the screen. It's great. Some ritualistic incantation. He gives it loads. And it zaps him, and he begins to change. And he changes into a werewolf. Initially, we don't really see much of his face. We see him change in shadow on the wall, but we see Elsa cowering against these bars, and the shadow is changing on the wall behind her, and they're all going, oh. Once he's a werewolf, he will leap at Verussa and bring her arm through, and she's like, clangs against the bars. She's not killed there. In the trailer, you see an arm come off. I really thought it was her arm getting torn off there. It's not. It was the other guy that Elsa was fighting with. The guy with the wrist-mounted sort of crossbow thing. I think Wes from Mad Max 2. And but they start cattle prodding him, all these goons, and he's like, he's all like nagging and all that. And they fill, the entire cage gets filled with smoke, and they're all kind of moving in like that for the kill. And Verussa's watching, you know, what's happened to him. And then the smoke dissipates, and they all look up, and he's already got out, because all the bars at the top of this sort of curved cage have all been bent outwards, and they're like, oh shit, and he's on the walls. Cue the finale, where our werewolf by night just shreds his way through all these goons, doing lots of acrobatics. He's spinning around, he's jumping from wall to wall, he's leaping four-footed at victims and throwing them over. He rips a hunter's ear off. He's disemboweling and gouging out other people. Don't go thinking this is too gory. I did a video just before this, before the film came out, saying that Michael Giacchino and the producers were a bit startled by the fact that this was only rated a TV-14 when they thought it was going to be a TV, mature audiences. Didn't get that. There is limbs coming off, there is an ear bitten off, there is a chest and torso ripped open. Blood will splatter across the screen. It's in black and white, folks. It's in black and white. So, gorehounds, do not get your hopes up too high. It just doesn't come across like that. It's violent, yeah, but it's not gory. And he starts taking all these goons down, left, right and centre. He will go into another chamber and take out a whole squadron of these guys while the doors are coming down. A nice shot, a nice continuous shot. Giacchino, who's directed all this, does it really well. He glides through the open doors, and we see goons getting taken down, all one take, and we see the other door coming down like that, and the light is coming down as well. So it's going from like white to black coming down, and he won't get to that door in time to get out of it, and you see him slashing the door. And like all these, in the steel, all these claw marks and talon rips are there. And in the meantime, Elsa has fought off the last two hunters and killed them. Great bit, it's a nice gory bit, this actually. She'll hack into that albino one, whose name is, I didn't write her name down, but Eugenie Bottlemont or something like that. And she's some weird old girl, but you see it is ultra tight white battle suit with like fur all around the neck, and her hair's all jet black hair. It's pulled back. She's got no eyebrows and some makeup around here. Very strange looking thing. And as I say, like an albino Gozer from Ghostbusters. But she'll get this huge sword cleaved into her head, and then Elsa will just twist it like that, and down she goes. And she's already slit another guy's throat with the same sword. So you do get plenty of blood, snot and violence. Excuse me. By the way, I have got a cold, so don't worry. As contagious as it might be, you're nowhere near me, so you're alright. But I've got to keep my fluid intake. Acts as a painkiller as well. So she will then, Verussa is there with the bloodstone, but using that grapple hook thing, which she got before, Elsa gets, the stepmother in the back, and she's like, ugh, and pulls her down to the deck, and you think she's gone. You think she's gone, of course. And she goes over to Jack, who's he's been zapped by the bloodstone again, so he's been weakened, and he's there sort of gasping against that steel door. And she's like, Jack, are you still in there, Jack? And he looks up at her, and you think he's out for the count kind of thing. And then suddenly springs at her, he's on top of her, and you see his face properly for the first time. That's disappointment. Oh, it really is. I had such high hopes for the werewolf look, and it's prosthetic effects. Most of the effects are prosthetic, a lot of look at the CG there as well. Obviously, it's bloody Swamp Man thing, not Swamp Thing. He's a big CG creation, but the effects for the gore and the killings are prosthetic. And what's his name again? Gael Garcia Bernal is clearly recognisable through the makeup. He's got bushy eyebrows. There's a bit of sideburns. That weird makeup he was wearing seems to have extended itself around his eyes. So he's got like sort of ashen black eyes. He's super hairy, but what he looks like, he's not huge and muscular. He's more acrobatic, and there's no top on now, so you can see his torso and just lots of straggly hair everywhere. A bit like what's adorning my noggin right now, when it's all over his body. And he reminds me a lot of David Norton as David in American Werewolf in London at the mid-transformation moment, where he's got lots of curly hair and it's all sprouting everywhere, but you clearly see his face. He's got fangs and kind of a nose is getting bigger, but not quite a snout yet. So he is a wolf man, not what you think of as the four-footed werewolf. He is, well, when I saw him with this look, because what he does, he gets on top of Elsa, but because he's been sniffing her before, he does recognise her, and he doesn't care to like. And but the look of him, I was disappointed. I thought, oh come, I've been waiting for this, because you've been building up to the Werewolf by Night. This whole film is about this character, and you've seen it. He's in it from the start to finish, obviously, but he's only a werewolf for the last sort of 5 minutes, and it's only a short movie, with loads of action, and it works. But I was really hoping for a better monster at the end of it, and then I had a look at some of the imagery. I've got a couple of comic books of Werewolf by Night Marvel Comics, and I thought, oh shit, yeah. And the way he's fighting, the way he leaps around, the way he's like the Hulk. His shirt's ripped off, but he's still got the remains of his pants on, or his jeans, or it's usually jeans in the comic. And the shirt might be in tatters or just completely off. And he's but he is a Lon Chaney Wolfman style. So the face is actually just sort of leathery, but the hair is on the outside, fringing around the face like a mane, and his shoulders are all super curly, jet black hair and all that. But the face is still, it's too human. And I was like, okay, he's got fangs and a bit of a snout and bushy eyebrows, but But as I say, then I looked at the imagery and I thought, oh, you know what, they have done it. They've done it pretty well, and they've kept his human face in there as well. So, and I always like that. I've always said in many videos, I've always said about werewolves, which are my favourite monsters of all time, that I prefer the bipedal werewolf, where there is a shred of humanity in the face, because once you become the full animal, then you're just an animal, albeit a very scary one. But so I'm looking at this bit of hair, which is doing something very ridiculous. Don't know what's happening there. Woo! Let's get that back there. But if you see it, a hint of humanity there, it's like, it's the hybrid, it's the monster and the human combined, and you're like, That's the scary thing for me. So, in a way, now I kind of respect that more. I still wish it was more frightening. But Verussa has returned from the grave. She wasn't dead at all. She gets up and she's like, I'm going to do this. I've got the bloodstone, blah, 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 blah. And in a great... Oh, actually, sorry, missed a bit out here. Elsa just tells him, you know, where to escape from. Get out, you know, that door's bollocks. Forget about that. So, Werewolf by Night, Jack Russell legs it round this, where the cage was, this big auditorium. Opens the door, off he goes. But the bitch, the stepmother, is still there. So, she's about to finish off Elsa. And suddenly, you know, through the skylight, comes crashing down. Man thing! Yes, and he just picks her up. Oh, she's like, oh! Melts her to bits and throws the black and charred carcass right across this room, and it cascades right into the big casket. It cascades into a casket. Nice alliteration there, Kilt-Man. With a sore throat and a cough. And it's Ulysses' casket. So the two of them combine in a big jumble of bodies, and his head just comes tumbling up towards our screen. Like, it's like... And then she says, well, thanks, Ted. And he goes, and she goes, oh, you want to know where Jack is? Went that way. And off he goes. Now, the manservant who you've seen throughout this, who I really thought should have been played by the likes of Andy Serkis. He just reminded me of Andy Serkis throughout this. He's been carrying the bloodstone when it's in this little ornate presentation box. I think he's the man that does the initial ritualistic thing as well. When they unleash the hunters into the maze, there's a guy, and it might be him, who's got like a huge sort of tuba which goes over the top of his shoulder, which is on fire. And it's blares this ritualistic tribal, and it's just flames all ringing this tube. It's great. A bit like what's his face, the doof rider, the doof something or other in Mad Max Fury Road, who's got the guitar, and every time he flames shoot out the guitar. I am sorry about this, folks, but even Kilt-Man sometimes succumbs to bugs and viruses and the threat of the full moon and that age-old curse. So yeah, maybe that guy, he comes towards Elsa and he's like, I think I'm working for you now. What do you want me to do? I only served her, I did what she told me. And she goes, well, first of all, there's bodies everywhere. You can clear this shit up. She has a very, Laura Donnelly, who's Irish, she has a very English accent in this. And you've seen her in other things, I can't remember what now, but she's been in lots of things. Got a very big mouth. When she smiles, there's teeth. Forget werewolves. Fucking teeth. It's just, wow, it's a big wall of white teeth. I mean, in black and white, it probably looks even worse. And you've been hearing an old sort of gramophone record player has been in the movie a couple of times. And she suddenly starts playing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. She's now got the bloodstone for her own purposes. You never find out what she wants to do with it. But she hated her family and despised them. So whether she wants to use it for the powers of good, I don't know. But anyway, she sits down as she starts shoveling bodies up. And the screen drips into colour. Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And everything becomes gaudy technicolor. Beautiful. And then we cut to outside in the woods. And there's our boy, Martin Freeman. No. Gael Garcia Bernal. Wakes up human again now. And in like a makeshift bit of bivouac. A little tent strung up there. And he's got like a cape on. They've worn ritualistic capes. Some of the goons and the hunters have worn these ritualistic capes. Very Dracula-like, very Eyes Wide Shut. All those capes, you know, that they're wearing. Black on the outside, red velvet on the inside. Also, which I thought, when you see Jack Russell coming out wearing this, I thought, Dracula! Black cape with the red velvet on the inside. And he wakes up, and there's Man Thing just sitting there on a log. He's made him a cup of tea, and even with his big swampy paw, he might just daintily pick up this little china cup, give him a cup of tea, And the two of them have this little discourse at the end, which is actually really heartwarming. It's like, what? Oh, you rescued me, you say? He's going, yeah, well, I've rescued you more. Like, and they start making, obviously, Man-Thing is telling him jokes, but we don't understand them. He's going, the two of them are laughing. Yeah. Oh, really? What, you want to get food? Oh, I don't really feel like food at the moment. And then Jack just goes, how about sushi? And it's like, and then it ends in an elaborate animated sort of title sequence, or end title sequence. Folks, I love this. This is a really jam-packed, energetic, imaginative 52, 53 minutes. By the way, there's nothing after the credits. Don't go waiting for it. And you'll wait a long time. The credits run on for a long time. So I'm saying it's a 53-minute, 54-minute sort of show. Take off 5 minutes of credits. So it's 50 minutes tops of actual show. But in that, you get to meet all these bizarre, eccentric, wild characters. You see lots of action. You see a big werewolf. You see a werewolf, but you see Man-Thing as well. And you have lots of skirmishes, and there's a great sense of atmosphere, a brooding sense of dread, and an imperative sense of momentum as well. Got to get certain things done. We've got to get out of here quick. You know, there's always a sort of ticking clock sort of element to it, which I appreciated. I think the performances are great. It's as Verusa, what's her name? Oh God, Harriet Sansom Harris is great. The zeal, she is BB Glazer from Frasier, who was Frasier's agent. It's that, just writ large, and I think it's a great flamboyant OTT performance where she'll keep changing the rules, you know, as suits the events. You know, look, you may be my stepdaughter, but you know, you know, house rules. You're in a cage with the werewolf. It's brilliant, and the dialogue is great. You've got to hit points because it's only a short movie. You haven't got the luxury of doing backstories. So I think Giacchino and Kevin Feige and everyone else at Marvel who are behind this are really expecting you guys to do some homework on this, to find out the affiliations, why this sort of thing happens, who Jack Russell really is. But at the end of the day, if you just go into this completely fresh, you're gonna have a ball because it's great, good fun. You might not know who anybody is. In fact, it's only Man-Thing and Jack Russell who actually are characters. The other guys in this, and Elsa, of course, is a throwback to all the old Universal movies. Elsa Lanchester, of course, Bride of Frankenstein, and Elsa Frankenstein in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. Christ, you've got to get your head around all these names and different movies because there's so many of them. Giacchino brings in all those elements. The setting, very elaborate. The lovely palatial mansion, the tableaus and the art direction, all the monster heads on the walls, all the weaponry that's there, all the amulets everyone's carrying or wearing, the weapons that they have in the actual maze itself, the crypts and the tombs. It all works so well. The effects are great. As I say, it's not as gory as you think it might be, and the werewolf action, although you get plenty of werewolf action in a very condensed section. He'll take out loads of people. He's leaping around and all sorts of stuff. He's hitting walls and bouncing off and doing grappling. You know, it's pure tag team time, grapple fans. It's pure WWF. WWF, isn't that Wildlife Fund? Well, Wrestling Federation. I'm having trouble speaking today, folks. I really am. I apologise. I've not had any sleep whatsoever. I've been ill throughout the night, and so there's my excuses anyway. Nothing to do with this, of course. Oh no. Liver's perfectly fine. So, and the music, by the way, is great. Giacchino scored it as well. You're listening to it now. I have the full score to it right now. Hopefully, we're not going to get blocked because I'm playing it. But it's great. And you know that the Marvel fanfare, And you see all the Captain America and Thor and all the characters are there. Michael Giacchino changes that. I'm going to play it for you now. He calls it main title, as in mane, like a lion's mane. But listen how he's reworked this. Brass, threatening, horror. Oh. And you've seen, as well as all the faces, very, very old school Universal. Hans J. Salter, Frank Skinner, their scores. But you see them like whoosh, across the screen, whoosh, and screaming faces. It's wonderful. And then it goes into the actual main title. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's now massively pouring down with rain. That's not going to do my cold any good, is it? Oh, it'll seep into your bones, Kilt-Man. Put some underpants on, under your kilt. No. The score's great. It's very... I'm sure there was a temptation to make this wall-to-wall music. And because most of Giacchino's scores do fill the film from beginning to end. And they're very... When you get the album, you get the download, you get the CD, they're jam-packed full of stuff. The music's always... I'm a massive fan of Giacchino's music, always have been. I really thought that this might be wall to wall, so we've got 53 minutes of show. Well, 55, call it that with all the end credits. And he's called them here, end shredits. It'd be music from start to finish. But actually, the score only runs for 41 minutes, so you're a good 10 minutes shy of the actual running time. And I was a bit surprised by that, because Giacchino said that wearing the two hats, the director and the composer, I was going into the editing suite and we're changing the film, cutting bits out, tightening things up here. And I went, oh, that's giving me an idea for the... I'll go back to the music suite when I'm putting all the music together, and he's like, he'll change things to fit what he's just done there. And then that gives him an idea for something. Oh, okay, that note bleeds into something else. Oh, damn, I'll have to run back there and change that bit now, add a bit extra. But he said he loved it. It was a great, wonderful creative process of doing the two things. So I would expect more of Giacchino to be directing, because I think he's done a wonderful job here. This is fast, it's brisk, it's energetic, it's full of atmosphere, it's dark and brooding, but it's got its tongue in its cheek at the same time, and that really, really works and comes across. The dialogue is frothy, English accent, a Scottish accent, it's great, and some other very weird accents, and some grunting and growling, and some swampy gurgles and wheezes and giggles and snorts. It's got everything, folks, got everything. And I say that touch where it goes into colour at the end is lovely. It's just brilliant. It's all to the audiences, we're having fun. It's a Marvel Disney Halloween special, but it's brought in characters from the older and lesser known pantheons of Marvel. Folks, it's wonderful. I hope you enjoyed this, despite my coughing and wheezing. I do apologise again about that. I've yet to do my full review of the new Hellraiser as well, so let's see how we fare with that one. That'll be coming later on. But anyway, folks, that is Werewolf by Night. I really, really enjoyed it. It did everything I wanted it to do, albeit the werewolf himself wasn't quite as impressive. His acrobatics are exactly what you see in the comic books, so I shouldn't be too harsh on it. It's just I wanted to see more of a ferocious, bestial face, and you didn't get that. He just was fringed with hair and had a bit of makeup around here, really, and bushy eyebrows. Oh, and fangs. But that really wasn't the thing. If you think back to Werewolf of London, when Henry Hull had the Jack P. Pierce makeup, which would become the makeup for Lon Chaney Jr. in The Wolfman several years later. much more famously. But the makeup for Henry Hull, which shows off most of his face with a jutting underbite and the fangs and a flattened nose and the bushy eyebrows that meet in the middle and a widow's peak and all that, and the fair coming down that side here. It harkens back to that, which makes you think of the font of the title itself. Werewolf by Night is done as the Werewolf of London, old font. Almost like it's an engraving which has been put onto a door or a wall or something. And it looks great with a bit of shadow effect as well. So maybe that's what they were going for. I haven't written down who did the special effects for it. I don't think that was Michael Giacchino himself. I don't think he did that. Did everything else, seemingly. But and a special thanks for Martin Freeman for being the the inspiration for Gael Garcia Bernal's performance. Because I could not think of anyone other than Martin Freeman. From The Office, and from The Hobbit, and from... what's it called? Oh, God. What was that comedy, that rom-com comedy? Oh, Jesus. I've forgotten. Where you... Oh, I forgot everyone's name now. Doesn't matter. You're all going. You're all shouting it out now, aren't you? I love that, but I can't hear you. Thanks, but I genuinely can't hear you. What the hell was it called? It was a Christmas movie as well, wasn't it? And Martin Freeman plays like a... He and that girl from... oh, no. Kevin and Stacey. Gavin and Stacey. It's all going wrong, isn't it? I'm not well, folks. And they're making a porn movie. And I was thinking, are you kidding me? You're showing these bits. And it's a film that families sit and watch. And he and his porn co-star end up getting off together. When it's just a job to them. And you see her down below and she's like, what's it called? What is it called? Answers below. Comment and let me know what it's bloody well called. I've done my head in now. Anyway, folks, this was Werewolf by Night, and it gets 2 taloned thumbs up. I loved it, and I would like to see more. Yeah, then I said it. But I don't know how they do it. I don't know where they go. Now you've introduced him, where do you go with it? We shall see. We shall see. And you've brought Man-Thing. We've seen him now, and he's great. He's great. We've seen a comedic side to him, but you've seen the hellish, dissolving your fear side to him as well. So, cheers, folks. I wish me well. I feel absolutely fucking dreadful. I really do. But I'll never let the sign down. I'll always be here for you, even when I'm at death's door. Oh, God, I hope you don't get this. Oh, it's not COVID. Don't worry about that. It's not COVID. None of that stupid shite. But, I don't know. I feel terrible. Anyway, folks, there you go. Please keep it kilted, keep it Celtic. Like Jovan, who kept it totally kilted, even though he gets his ass handed to him by Laura Donnelly, who throws him round the place. He even smacks her head into it like a marble plinth. Boof, boof. How do you like that then, lassie? And all this. It's, whenever I attempt to do a Scottish accent, because you folks know, I am descended from Scots, but I live down in the Wirral, in Britain, in England. So my dad's side of the family is Scottish. My mother's side of the family is Irish. But I don't have the Scottish accent. But I walk around looking the part and strutting my stuff. But people are always disappointed. And they go, like, because you don't sound Scottish. They go, oh, out me mouth. They go, oh, you don't sound remotely Scottish. And they go, oh, I'm doing all. Oh. And I start doing this really deep. Look at it. I know loads of Scots. And fucking not one of them speaks like that. So I don't know where I got that from. And that's the accent that, what's his name? Kirk Thatcher. His name's Kirk, and he was in a Star Trek movie, sitting opposite William Shatner on that bus. Fate moves in mysterious ways, does it not? But that's the accent that he's using in this. And it's all, hey, yeah, lassie. And hope you're a good hunter, Slav. Oh yeah, you lucky bastard, you. And that's kind of shit. Gonna see you all. The rain's gone off now, and you've got Hellraiser 2022, the big Kilted review. coming to a YouTube channel near you super soon.